Hello, welcome to this video where we're going to take a look at the user interface of our Tesla. To start, you can see that we have a screen that's at least 15 inches, maybe more, 15.4 inches to be exact, for the new Tesla Model 3 that I'm sitting in. So this is the home page where you can see the car. So indeed, you can move it around, you can view it from all angles, and actually you can control several things. You'll see that here it's going to return to its original position. You can directly open the front trunk by pressing here, lock the car, and you can also open and close the rear trunk. We also have the media, but you can swipe to the left to actually see the car's consumption, whether it's for the current trip, so since the last time you parked the car, or since the last recharge. And here, trip A and trip B, I'll show you in the trips tab, but these are the trips that you pre-record. And so here it's since I've had the car, and each time you can see the distance traveled, the consumption, and the amount of charge you've used. You have a small tab with navigation. You can directly enter, as you see here, a destination into the navigation. So if I swipe to the right, I go back to the main view. You can adjust it. You have home and work, so you just have to click on them and you'll be directly redirected with the route to those destinations. You can also see when you're on the large page like this, in other words, on the extended home screen, you still see the navigation on the right side of the screen, even though it's not in satellite mode. Just so you know, you also see it during a route, so you can still have this expanded view without necessarily having the navigation like this, and in any case, you'll see the route you're currently taking. We have the upper part of the screen. So as you can see here, I need to fasten my seat belt, but if I do this, for example, you'll see that if I shift into drive, well, here I'm in reverse with the cameras, but if I shift into drive or park, you'll see that other things still appear. As in this case, we can see the direction in which we're going. We can see the headlights here, and then if there are other alerts, for example, regarding the brakes or if the tires are deflated, etc., just like you can see on the dashboard of a combustion engine car, it will be displayed here. Here we have the gears, so right now we're in parking mode. But if you switch to reverse, neutral, or drive forward, it will be displayed here. We're in comfort mode, so that's the acceleration mode right here at the top left. I have a comfort and standard driving mode. But if, for example, you have a Tesla Performance, you'll have comfort, standard, but also sport or insane. Here, this is the battery level. Something very interesting is that here you see it's shown as a percentage. But if I tap on it, I can see the range in kilometers that the car estimates. Of course, it's not always completely reliable. It's more or less the estimated range under ideal conditions. So I prefer and I recommend that you keep it in percentage. It's easier to get an idea that way. You can see the driver profiles. If you click here, you can switch between several profiles. When you see this little orange arrow, it means there's an update available. And then you have the time, the weather, and the airbag indicator. Something interesting about the time is that if you're traveling and, for example, you change time zones, sometimes the time might not update right away. The trick is to press and hold on the time and it will update itself. Next, you have the bottom bar. What's interesting about the bottom bar is that there's a little car icon where you can access all the settings. There's the air conditioning, so you can tap to turn on the AC. You can slide to change the temperature, and you'll see a small menu with the settings, seat heating or ventilation if available, and the front and rear defrost. I can also swipe up, and then you'll have the full climate control menu. As you can see here, I've turned it on. I'm in auto mode, which is the car's default setting. But if I turn off auto, you'll see that I can select where the air comes from here. If I turn on the air conditioning, so that's pretty much like in any car. But if you see that I want to have air coming from the front vents, so onto my face, here I can adjust the height and direction of the airflow. And it's the same, I can do it for the passenger as well. I can have it just on my side. If I press and hold here, you see that I've completely turned off the air conditioning on the passenger side, but kept it on my side. You have heated seats, so like this, you touch, and you can have heat but also cooling. I have ventilated seats on the new Tesla Highland. This will also be available on the new Tesla Model Y. You also have defrosting for the windshield wipers, steering wheel heating, and then defogging and defrosting for the windshield and rear window. I can manually control the power of my air conditioning. If I set it to automatic, then the car will decide everything by itself, so that I have the temperature that's displayed here. You also have the rear ventilation, which is controlled here, and then I turn off the rear ventilation. And then you have a few menus up here at the top. There's the keep menu, which, as you can see, will keep the air conditioning running even when you leave the vehicle until the car reaches 20% charge. The dog mode, which will also keep the temperature stable to maintain a comfortable environment if you leave your dog inside the cabin. Camp mode, which is very interesting. It's a bit like the keep mode, but this time it will also disable the exit lock, the security alarm, and sentry mode. And you should know that it will also keep the car powered on. The USB ports will also remain powered, so that's convenient if you're camping in the car. You can access a bunch of applications here, whether it's navigation, music, phone, or even something else. To see all the available applications, you just have to tap on the 3 little dots here. You have a bunch of applications displayed here, and then at the top, it's mostly the windshield wipers, the air conditioning, and then the seat and steering wheel heating. Something very interesting is that you can still customize this bar at the bottom. You can press and hold here, and now you see that I have crosses above the icons. So I can simply, for example, move my phone, and that removes it from the main bar. I can, for example, take another application. I can take the camera and drag it wherever I want. And so here you see that now if I tap done up there, it will stay just as I set it. What's also interesting is that, for example, if I put the phone back and remove the camera, I can also add the defogger here. The heated and ventilated seats, I can put them directly at the bottom so I have quick access. Like here, for example, I don't need to go into the climate control menu. I just have to tap here and then automatically I can have my seat heated or ventilated. Generally, these are apps where you have the radio, quite a few music streaming apps, you have Zoom, and then the cinema mode where you can watch Netflix, YouTube, and so on. If you press the little car icon at the bottom left, you'll find yourself in all the full settings of the car. So I'll quickly go over it. I'm not going to do an extensive tutorial, but just to show you where the different settings are located. In control, which is basically what opens automatically when you press the little car icon, you mainly have the headlight controls. As you can see here, it's automatic, so depending on the ambient light, it will turn the headlights on or off. You can fold the mirrors, lock the rear windows, open the glove box, and then adjust the speed and activation of the windshield wipers, as well as all the settings related to the mirrors and the steering wheel for positioning. So this is really for the driving position. The car wash mode is actually a mode that allows you, if you're going to wash your car, whether with a manual jet or in an automatic car wash, you can activate this mode, and for example, it will lock the charging port so it doesn't open and water doesn't get inside. It won't lock the car, but it will roll up the windows. There you go, it gets the car ready for washing. You can press and hold here to put it in neutral mode, for example, if you want to have it towed. And then there's the dashcam recording. So you have a built-in dashcam that uses the windshield cameras, and then there's Sentry mode, which is a mode that actually monitors with all the car's cameras while you're away. If someone comes close or tries to open one of the door handles, etc., or touches or hits the car, Sentry mode will be activated and will also send you a notification on the Tesla app, potentially with a video you can watch directly. Here you have the screen brightness, and you can set it to automatic depending on the ambient conditions. Dynamic is for everything related to acceleration power and steering comfort. So acceleration here in my Model 3, I have a long-range all-wheel drive. I only have comfort, which is the mode I use most of the time. It's much better for your range. The acceleration is much less abrupt, and in everyday driving, having such strong acceleration can be a bit unsettling. So generally I keep it in comfort and it works very well. For steering you have soft, standard and firm. Generally I also leave it on soft, so this really affects the firmness when you turn the steering wheel. Firm can be interesting if you want a slightly sportier drive, if you're on country roads or something like that. It gives you a sportier feel, kind of like you're driving a go-kart. It's pretty fun, but for everyday driving I wouldn't recommend it. You also have the gear settings. I won't go into detail here. I'll let you watch the video on how to start the Tesla. That's interesting. But basically, these are the menus where you can decide if the car should change gears by itself during 3-point turns. And also, when starting up, the car can automatically choose whether to go into reverse or drive, depending on the obstacles it detects around it. As for the charging tab, I also invite you to watch my videos on supercharging and charging at public stations. There you'll find all the settings related to charging, and you can also schedule times to charge the car. Everything related to autopilot, I strongly encourage you to enable lane keeping assistance, even though it's still in beta. This really gives you the full autopilot capability, including lane keeping, which is truly amazing, especially on the highway. It works really well. I've never had any issues with this feature. You can really choose when you activate autopilot or adaptive cruise control, whether you want a tolerance above the speed limit, and then there are all the collision warnings, etc. So I still recommend enabling all of those, but of course it depends on your preferences. You have the lock menu where you can add keys and also phones as keys to unlock the car. So this is for people who can have access to the vehicle, whether it's phones, for example, with the Apple Watch, which also works, or with the keys you were given in the form of a credit card when you bought the car. Next, you have lighting. Here, you'll find some of the menus related to the headlights that we saw under controls. I can manually turn the fog lights on or off. Here you have adaptive headlights and headlights after exit. Adaptive headlights selectively dim certain pixels in the headlights. It's a bit like matrix headlights. You have the headlights after exit, which are the headlights that stay on even when you walk away from the car and it's locked, so you have better visibility as you move away from your vehicle. You also have ambient lighting, for example. As you can see, I have a light strip on this new Tesla Model 3, and I can also set when it's on, whether it's only at night or all the time. I can also adjust the intensity and change the color. I can turn on the floor lighting while you can't see it here. I can activate it so that there's always lighting at the pedals or at least at the front footwells. Next, you just have the seats. Here I can turn on the heated seats in the back and in the front. I can also move the front passenger seat forward or backward. You have the display. Basically, here you have full control over the screen. You have the appearance settings, so automatic, which adjusts according to ambient light and time of day, but you can set it to dark mode all the time, which looks like this, or light mode all the time, even at night. You can also reduce blue light. I recommend keeping it on, so that's really good. And then the screen brightness, as we saw earlier, and then the automatic blind spot camera. You can see that when I turn on the indicator, the blind spot is displayed, same thing on the right. A screen cleaning mode, and then the mode to lock or unlock the rear screen, especially if you have children. Scheduling, you also have the same feature on the Tesla app. I also invite you to watch the video, but you can schedule preconditioning and charging. Security covers everything related to Sentry mode. You can also adjust the dash cam, etc. And in the security tab, what's also important is all the traffic alerts, blind spot warnings, and so on. All of these are features that, for me, are also very important and work very well. Another good thing is that you have the speed limit, just in case, and if you scroll all the way down, there are also the alerts. Something very interesting that you might not necessarily know what it means is Joe mode. Joe mode is something that will lower all the sounds, whether it's the turn signal sounds, warnings when you activate autopilot, etc. All the sounds will be significantly reduced. And if I scroll all the way down to turn off the car, you have the power off button, so it's right here. This completely shuts off the car, which can be useful if you're doing some maintenance work, like handling electrical cables. This is where you turn off the car. Under the maintenance tab, I have tire pressure, headlight height adjustment, car wash mode, and so on. Basically lots of options where I can reset menus to factory settings, etc. Calibrating the cameras. This can often be necessary if you see a message saying the cameras are miscalibrated or that a camera is blocked. Well, it's never happened to me, but if it does, you can do it from here. The software tab is where you can perform updates. Navigation, here you have all the navigation settings. I invite you to check out my in-depth video on navigation, where I go into detail about all these menus. Trips is where all your recorded trips are stored. So current since the last time we were parked and since the last charge. Basically, that's what you see here. Wi-Fi, you can connect to Wi-Fi if you enable this feature. This is essential if you want to perform updates. You have Bluetooth, where you can connect your phone. This is also necessary for the keys to work, especially the phone key. You need to pair your phone with your Tesla via Bluetooth. There you go, I've covered pretty much everything. Feel free to subscribe, and really ask all your questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them as soon as possible. See you soon in the next video. Ciao.